Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me for another TLDR. I'm your host, Voodoo Pickles, and today we're going to be talking about the Cobra Event. So this was written by Richard Preston and published in 1997, and this book is pretty trippy. So we start off the book following a teenage girl getting ready for her day. She gets infected with a mysterious virus, and this virus causes a reaction when she gets into school, and she has to go to run to the restroom because she's starting to bleed. She's starting to feel really odd and weird. And when she gets to the bathroom, the teachers come, one of the teachers of the classroom that she was in and a couple of students run into the bathroom to check to see if she was okay because they were really, really worried about her. They start freaking out because she starts getting black blisters on the inside of her mouth and on her around her eyes. She starts getting super aggressive, and it reminds me of a scary zombie movie with fast moving zombies. She starts getting really aggressive. She starts eating her lips from the inside, and then she starts to go into a type of seizure. As one of the teachers is trying to help her out, she bites him or scratches him, and when she starts to go into a seizure, she turns into like an upside down C. Like her tippy toes are on one end and the tippy top of her head, and you can hear her bones start to snap a little bit, and they call 911. Everybody's freaking out. Everybody is trying to help her out, but they don't know how to help her. And then she dies. As after she goes into that seizure and everything, her heart just stops beating, and everybody really doesn't know what to happen. Like what happened, what to do after that. And then after this event, the CDC gets informed, and we have an agent named Alice. She gets asked by her boss to go to New York to check out some of these odd cases of people being infected with something, just some weirdness going on in New York City. So she gets asked to go to New York City and to go check on these cases. Alice gets to New York City, and she finds that there are 3 cases so far of this mysterious virus that they don't really know what's going on. So she starts an investigation. She starts to try and link how these cases are connected. Like if there's a virus going on, then the virus would have to come from somewhere, and she's trying to find that patient 0. And so that's the main part of the beginning of the story. And then this book also goes into a lot of historical research that was going on with chemical weapons and biological warfare that was happening across the world. Like the Navy was doing some research. There are different research from Russian scientists and all of these other scientists, all of these actual real world research things that are happening. And then puts as well that there was more fictionalized instances of these viruses. And so the book is spread into these chapters. And from these chapters, there is also 2 scientists that we end up following. And they're over in the Middle East at the beginning of this book, and they're trying to find laboratories with viruses that are being used as weapons, and they get in trouble, but they find something, but they get in trouble and they're sent back to the United States. And when they get back to the United States, they find out that there was a medical examiner that Alice was working with that was infected with this virus, and he kills his assistant, and then he ends up dying. And that's when they take it to the FBI, and they're like, there's this outbreak of this mysterious virus that we do not know what's going on, but it's extremely volatile, and it makes the patients extremely aggressive, and so we need to do something about it. The FBI is informed. She finds out that her boss, this is what he does. He looks for these odd cases, working with the FBI and Homeland Security, as a case of biological terrorism. And so they're given a task force. Those two scientists that were in trouble in the Middle East are put on this task force for Alice to help her figure it out. They're put on this secluded island that they can quarantine people that they think are infected with this virus, and they can start working on it, trying to get a vaccine, trying to figure out where it's from so they can stop it. And they start investigating where this virus came from. They find out that the virus was released on the high schoolers through a little wooden box. And they find a couple of these little wooden boxes. They have agents going to different parts of the world, finding out where these came from. And it's just this huge investigation. And they end up finding this biological research company. They are studying one specific virus that hinders I forgot what it was called, but it hinders the way that people are able to move, and it starts affecting parts of their brain. And we're like kind of more of a nonprofit. We are working on this one. And the FBI is suspicious because things can be linked back to them. So they're being watched. And when they start trying to destroy records, the FBI swoops in and confiscates all of their records, puts people under holding, and they find out that there was a man who was working on this one specific virus, because outwardly they work on more of a nonprofit on this one virus, this disease, to try and find a cure. Secretly, they work as a part of a corporation that uses chemical and biological warfare and sells them off to the highest bidder. They make weapons of these viruses and they sell them off to the highest bidder. They had a scientist working at their lab who decided that people needed to be killed. There was too many people. There's too many humans on the world. They were polluting the environment, and they needed to be. He wanted to pretty much like Thanos it. Like the world does not have enough resources to be able to support this vast population. So there needed to be a virus to come in and bring down those numbers. And he was a very big environmentalist, so he stole part of this virus from this company and then ran off. And this company couldn't report it missing or anything because they weren't supposed to have it. They weren't supposed to be working on it. And this man perfected his virus in his apartment in New York City and started doing human trials on it. And that's where all of these smaller cases were coming from. And each one of these incidences, he was ramping up how big they could get. So he decided he wanted to create these little glass bombs and put them down in the subway system so that they would have a mass infection and they would be able to float and use air currents and continue to spread. So that was his plan. And Alice is able to figure out where he is at. Her and the other FBI agent, they just through some canvassing, trying to figure out where this man is and like reverse engineering all of these incidents that happened. So they end up finding him. They send in a SWAT team into his apartment complex, and they're going to raid it, except they put in a little camera into his, like they drill a hole in his wall and they put a camera into there, and they see that his whole apartment is a laboratory for this virus. So they can't just burst in the door because he has all of these bombs set up. And he realizes that they are out there. And so he creates a distraction by setting off a smoke grenade. And then he jumps down into the dumbwaiter, goes all the way down into this tunneling system that can connect to the subway system. He had this all planned out. This was his just in case I get caught. And they're trying to find him. He is putting these little bombs and grenades in different parts of the subway as he's going, except he realizes that he is infected with this virus. He feels that he has blisters forming on the inside of his mouth. He's starting to get a little aggressive, and he's trying to get this done as quickly as possible before the virus fully takes him. Alice and this FBI agent, they go down into the subway system with other agents, and they have the New York City first responders are on standby to try and find where this is. They're trying to set up decontamination stations. They're trying to get this solution ready to be able to spray down the virus so it doesn't spread. And so they're trying to get all of that ready. The FBI is working on it. Alice and this one agent gets separated from their main team while they're trying to find him. And the FBI agent finds these glass grenades full of this virus. He's this neutralizing agent that he's able to put on the virus so it's not as kind of kills it, makes sure that it doesn't spread and it's not as effective as it usually is. So he's starting to break open these little grenades so he can get to the virus inside because it's crystallized in this one little thing on the inside of these glass grenades and bombs. So he's breaking open the glass to try and not break open this little thing in there that will release the virus, and is spraying it with a neutralizing agent. Except when one of these, he opens it up and it falls. And he's trying to get to it. A rat gets to it first before he's able to neutralize it. And then he does neutralize it. And he's like, well, we can just hope for the best then. They end up finding this man. And he's shooting. He has a gun. He's shooting at them. He's trying to kill them. It's also pitch black down there because the power went off and it's starting to flash on and off. So they're trying to find and hide from each other at the same time. And they're able to shoot him and arrest him. And they realize he's infected, so they make sure that he is quarantined, and they're going to try and save him so he can go through trial. And after all of this, one of the bombs does go off, and they're able to spray down the neutralizing agent as much as they can and try and contain it as much as they can. However, 12 people were infected with this virus, and more of these cases throughout the years are more common because that one rat that ate the virus, it turned into a carrier and started spreading it out through the rats in New York City, and a large section of them now are carriers of this. So when people are bitten by rats or scratched by rats, they start getting this virus. And Alice is able to finish this case, and her and this FBI agent, they had this cute little relationship starting to build. It was adorable. It wasn't the main focus of this. It was just like a complete side quest of this book, and it worked out really well. And they end up going on a date, and the book ends with the author putting in this whole terrifying statistics of what could happen if a virus was detonated or released in these large population areas, and there's nothing. Really depressing. It's like there's nothing you can do about it. If it's a brand new thing that their aren't working on already, if there's not already like vaccines for it, if there's not already ways to immunize people with this or anything like that, there's nothing that we can do. Like, this would be a best case scenario, that is introducing a new mutated virus into an ecosystem with rats as carriers. Like that was kind of like, this is the best scenario that you could hope for. And that was terrifying. I mean, the amount of science in this book was pretty amazing. It was really good. I really enjoyed this. This one reminded me of, what was that other book that we read? Feral. This is the book that I wanted to read instead of Feral. This one was full science. The romance was not the focus. That's just a thing that you just saw happen, like in your periphery. It's like if you watch two coworkers starting to get close to each other and they're just adorable together, and you're just like, "Aw." That's what the romance in this book was like. It was mostly just science and this whole investigation going on, which I thought was fantastic. It was beautifully written. And what did I give this book? And I gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, and it was fascinating. It scared me. It really did. It scared me, and I loved it. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the YouTube things. And my videos will be coming out publicly on Wednesdays, but they'll be available on Patreon on Mondays. If I'm able to stick to the schedule, I'll have to set reminders. And thank you guys so much for joining me. You guys are amazing and awesome, and I appreciate every single one of you. I hope you guys have an amazing day, night, afternoon, whatever it is where you are, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.